Just ahead on American Black Journal, which Detroit schools are making the grade? Excellent Schools Detroit has come out with its annual scorecard. We'll talk with the organization's CEO about this year's findings. Plus, we'll tell you about the Black Male Engagement Leadership Awards, honoring the work of African American men right here in Detroit. That's all coming up next.
Lindsay wants to know.
So I'm curious, what's DTE Energy doing to improve their customer service?
Why don't we take a ride over there and let Rachel tell us? Hello.
Hello. Take a walk with me. Here at DTE Energy, we're working very hard to improve our service, like answering every call under 1 minute and resolving the issue on the first call.
Wow, no passing the buck, huh?
Nope. And plus, we're adding over 100 customer service jobs right here in the state of Michigan.
I need to get a real job.
I'm going to send your application.
Thanks, Rachel. DTE Energy. Know your own power.
When I grow up,
I want to be an architectural engineer.
a registered nurse,
into law enforcement,
a computer scientist.
a successful person.
Give Michigan's children the chance to aim high with quality early education.
Welcome to American Black Journal. I'm Stephen Henderson. It can be difficult for parents to select schools for their children, so Excellent Schools Detroit is hoping to make that decision a little easier with its annual scorecard. This year's scorecard was recently released, and for the first time, schools have been assigned grades. Excellent Schools Detroit reviewed 204 public, charter, private, and parochial schools in Detroit. Grades were given for 149 of those schools. 51 schools met the organization's standard of a C+ or better. That number includes schools that were too new to grade but were considered promising. So joining me now to talk about the scorecard is Excellent Schools Detroit CEO Dan Varner. Welcome to American Black Journal.
It's great to be back with you.
So this is new to us here in Detroit, the idea of grading schools, but it's also a very key part of overall education reform.
Absolutely. If schools are going to get better, parents need to frankly know where to send their kids because dollars follow kids. And so the simplest, easiest way for us as parents and taxpayers to know whether a school is good or not is to assign a letter grade. We are all familiar with that grading scale. That's right. And so let's make it easily accessible for folks.
Right. And even though the grading itself gives you a simple letter grade, there wasn't a simple process for doing this. You're not just looking at one factor, you're looking at a lot of different things.
That's correct. The methodology here is actually quite complicated. I think the important thing for folks to know, and we can jump into the details in a moment, but the important thing for folks to know is that this is frankly the most comprehensive look at schools in Detroit ever undertaken, and includes information that parents have told us is important and includes information that the state doesn't have. So this is a scorecard really designed by parents and community for parents and community.
Right, and when you say information that the state doesn't have, you're clearly talking about something beyond test scores.
Absolutely right, yeah. So the state really has one kind of test score, and that's measuring proficiency, what we would call status. How much does a child know?
Right.
Do they know what we would expect them to know at this age or grade level? We are also collecting information on what we call growth, so how much does a student learn over the course of a year? Because kids may already be behind.
Right.
The better measure of a school might be how quickly are they catching them up, right? And then we're also capturing what we call climate data, which includes information about student and teacher perceptions of the school and community members' perceptions of the school after walking through it.
Right, and that's super important because as a parent, a lot of your decision about where your kid goes to school has to do with how the school feels. And that's it's sort of an intangible, but you guys are trying to quantify that, right?
That's right. So any of us who walk through schools, whether we're grandparents or parents, we walk into a building and we just have a sense, oh, this is a good place for kids, or oh, this just there's not something not right. That can be quantified. We use the Detroit 5 Essentials, which is a student and teacher survey, and this year, something like 72% of Detroit students and 59% of Detroit teachers participated in that survey. That's something like 35,000 kids and 3,500 teachers participated in that survey, sharing their perceptions of their schools. And community members walked into schools and did exactly that. They captured kind of that sense, oh, this is good, this is not good, and here's why. And that factored into the grade as well.
Right. And as I said in the open, you guys did public, private, charter, and parochial schools. I was surprised when I saw the list at the number of public schools who did well in this.
It was, I don't even want to say a pleasant surprise. I mean, so we are governance neutral by design. We actually believe that governance is not a silver bullet, and that there will be good and bad DPS schools, and good and bad charter schools, and good and bad private and independent schools, and good and bad EAA schools, frankly. And sure enough, in the results, that was exactly what showed up. And so there were a number of DPS schools, both special admission and general admission, that were quite good. There were a number of charters, a number of new and fresh start schools, some EAA schools, and some private and independent schools as well. And there were bad schools of all of those governance types as well.
Right.
So one of the big important messages and lessons for parents here is don't choose a school based on governance type.
Sure.
Don't just choose a charter or a DPS because they're a charter or DPS. Choose a good school, regardless of governance.
Right. And you're creating this report for parents and helping them make their choices. But I think there's also a message here for schools themselves, right? You see yourself on this list, you see where you are, you know how far you have to go. It's about driving that change in buildings.
That's right. And frankly, we're all responsible for that. Back to the initial thought here, I mean, these are public institutions, and they're meant to serve our community. We pay for them. We've created them as a community to serve us and serve us effectively. So they need to know where they stand. We need to apply pressure to them to get better and to support them in efforts to get better. And frankly, they need to know where they stand and how they're doing. And that's all important, Stephen. We all know why, but it's worth saying. Detroit families and parents have told us for years that they know, like, they want great education for their kids. We all know how important that is. And so improving the quality of education so that every kid is set on a trajectory to get to whatever outcomes in life they aspire to, that's just critically important if we want Detroit to really be the world-class city that we all aspire for it to be.
Right. Let's talk a little about choice. Parents in Detroit right now have what I would consider pretty tremendous set of choices in terms of diversity, at least, right? You've got a lot of different kind of schools now. Many of them wouldn't have existed 20, 25, 30 years ago when we were in school. I feel like we've gotten parents to the point where they understand that they have a choice and they got to make that choice actively. I think where we're lagging behind maybe a little bit is in getting parents to know what a quality choice is and to make the choice based on that quality.
That's right. That's exactly right. So 30 years, on our scorecard, of the 51 schools that we were able to recommend that were C+ or better or were new and promising, literally 40% of the schools that we recommended were in that new category. Right. Too new to have kind of the historical data that
longitudinal look that you can give about
that would give us the actual letter grade. But we were able to say, boy, they look promising based on the early returns. 40%. Those are schools that almost by definition didn't exist 5 years ago, much less 30.
Right.
And so for parents today, it's a very different landscape than it was when they went to school. And happily, I think we've seen the great majority of parents now at the point where they're willing to actually make a choice, not just default to whatever the local closest school is. The challenge in that, of course, is in figuring out how to make great choices. Right? So having the choice is one thing, making a great choice is the other thing, and that's what the scorecard is all about.
Right. And I sense that there's another issue in Detroit too, which is the over shopping or the continuous shopping, right? I'm choosing a school this year for my kid, and then I'm going to choose again next year, and then the latest school that's going to teach Mandarin or give me an iPod becomes the attractive choice. How do we get parents to understand that stability is one of the things that you're looking for?
That's right. I think it's just through folks like yourself who provide opportunities for us to talk about this very issue. The truth is, so our recommendation to parents is, hey, make a great choice at the natural transition points for your child. When they're entering kindergarten or first grade, really important to make a great choice at that point. But then stick with that choice, unless it's really bad and a bad fit, and sometimes that happens, and that's fine. Then select elsewhere. But if it's not an awful choice, if you feel like you've made a good choice, there are going to be ups and downs in that environment, and your job is to stick and help that school improve. But when your child has a natural transition point or is otherwise having a really bad experience somewhere, by all means, move them.
Move them, yeah. We've got a couple minutes left. I'm wondering if any schools gave you any pushback about this. I mean, generally, teachers feel pretty beat up. There's good reasons that some teachers feel beat up because of the attacks on public schools and things like that. did anyone say, hey, you know what, we don't need somebody else coming in here telling us how to do our job?
Absolutely. Absolutely did. First, let me give credit to all of those who opted into the process. This was a voluntary process. We don't have the authority of the state behind us or any particular district or what have you. We are a governance-neutral coalition of civic entities and philanthropy and community-based organizations and educators. And frankly, the overwhelming majority of schools, Stephen, said, boy, we would love to have a more comprehensive look at our schools.
Is that right?
Absolutely. That wasn't just based on MEP scores, but includes growth, and we get that climate matters. And as unusual as it is, sure, we'll let folks walk through our building unannounced and assess it on qualitative factors. And so the great majority participated across governance models, and they are to be commended. They get that they are public institutions by definition.
Right.
There were some that didn't, that opted out.
Yeah.
And we went through an exhaustive 2-year process of kind of cultivating relationships and inviting folks to participate. If they chose not to participate, they were actually penalized for that.
Okay.
They left points on the table. You couldn't get the points.
You couldn't get the points
That's
if
right,
you didn't do
for
it.
like climate, if you didn't participate in the site visit and the surveys.
Right.
And so they were penalized, and we've heard from those folks, and my gut is they will
I
participate
bet next year,
Absolutely.
next
This
year you'll be in those buildings.
That's right.
This year you'll be in those buildings.
right, yeah.
So the idea of this quality assessment and choice, what's the next step for us there?
A couple of things. You know, I should mention too, I think teachers, the feedback, so it's not just feedback from schools that matters here, but feedback from parents and teachers
Sure.
and students and so on, and that feedback has largely been positive. Folks are frankly desperate for really clear, accessible, transparent information about school performance. So we've got a lot of work ahead of us to get this out even more and more. Folks can go online right now at scorecard.excellentschoolsdetroit.org for the online version, and hard copy versions will be coming out shortly. This is a copy that I can leave here with you.
Very good.
Next steps are actually to continue to help the system work more effectively, and so 2 things I would highlight. One is our belief is that education begins at birth, not
Right.
at kindergarten.
Right.
We all know that the brain development in the first 5 years of life is much more significant than what occurs for any part of the rest of your
Absolutely.
life.
Yeah.
And so we want to help parents make great choices around early childhood education. So
Yeah.
we'll be doing a scorecard on early childhood
Okay.
educators, and
Very
that'll
good.
come out shortly. The second thing is the system needs to be easier for parents and schools, and so things like a common enrollment system, common window,
Right.
one form,
Right.
list your schools in order of preference, and it goes out to all those schools so that you're not having to fill out 10 forms at 10 different schools.
Right.
Things like that are things that we're working on next.
Okay, very good. Well, we'll look forward to all of that.
Great.
Thanks for being here.
Thanks for having us.
Just ahead on American Black Journal, an organization dedicated to inspiring black males hands out its leadership awards. We'll talk with one of the local recipients, and we'll learn more about the group from a member of its engagement team. That's all coming up next. There's a growing network of inspired black males in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Baltimore that call themselves Be Me, which stands for Black Male Engagement. These men are committed to making our communities stronger. Recently, Be Me announced the 50 winners of its 2013 Leadership Awards. The men will receive grants to help grow the programs and projects they've created. I'm pleased to have one of the award recipients here today. Quanna Fish is the founder of Young Fathers Standing United. Joining him is one of last year's recipients, who's now a member of the Be Me team, Shaka Senghor. Welcome to American Black Journal.
Thank you.
So tell me about Young Fathers Standing United. That sounds like it's such a great name, right? I mean, what could be wrong with that?
Thank you, sir. Yes, sir. Well, we are a parenting development program for teen and young fathers under the age of 25. Yes, sir. So basically, we want to educate, develop, and support these young men to ultimately impact their children.
Okay, and so tell me where in Detroit are you doing this?
Well, currently we're in the Brightmoor community.
Okay.
No, I'm sorry, the Osborne community.
Okay.
Yes, we actually just finished our pilot program, which was a 6-week workshop. It was successful. I guess we graduated 15 out of 19 young fathers, I'm happy to say. And we're looking forward to expanding into the Brightmoor community.
Yeah, and so what are the kind of things that you're talking to these fathers about?
Well, Basically, we're talking to them about, first of all, learning how to be a man. You can't be a good father without learning the characteristics of being a great man.
Right.
And so from that point, just the importance of being a father and the statistics in regards to being fatherless. So I think this information is valuable. When you take a look at the statistics, it's overwhelming. I think it's 3 out of 5 young men in the African American community are fatherless.
Right, right. And in fact, I would imagine a lot of the young men you're dealing with in your program grew up in homes where there wasn't necessarily a strong father figure.
Yes, sir.
Yeah. So Shaka, this is exactly the kind of program that you guys really have reached out to in the last couple of years.
Yeah, it's important. When you think about the work that's being done in the community, the work that's needed, you know, we have men like Quanna Fish doing this work and working with young men and helping them become better fathers, providing them with resources and connecting them to other great examples of what fatherhood is. I mean, how can we not win with that?
Right. And the idea of BME is really to connect all these different people who are doing these great things in the community together, and like you said, make a network out of it so that they talk to each other, they use resources together, maybe raise resources together.
Yeah, definitely. So BME is a network of community builders who recognize black men as assets in the community, and we do 3 things consistently. We invite people of all races to acknowledge and recognize the daily contributions that black men make. We connect and share resources for those who are doing local events. And for example, we just did an event on Joy Road called Joy Day, where we provided free haircuts for kids, backpacks, things like that, just to kind of make the kids feel like, you know, this is a day for us to celebrate. And then the third thing is we partner with businesses, nonprofits, and other people who are really inspired by the work that they see black men doing in the community.
Right, and a lot of these programs and a lot of these men that you're talking about don't get a lot of other support, unfortunately.
Yeah, not only do they not get a lot of support, they don't get a lot of recognition.
Right.
And so our goal is to ensure that these men who are recognized for the work that they're doing and that they get the type of support that they need. And sometimes the support is just, you know, being able to come on and say, hey, listen, this is what we do. If you have young men who need fathers and need an example of fatherhood, you know, come join up with this brother.
Right.
And these men are men who do this work regardless. They do it with most of their budgets is just hope and love. And so we just want to recognize them, acknowledge them, and figure out different ways we can support them.
Right. And BME started as part of the Knight Foundation a couple, was it 2 years ago or
Yes,
3?
2 years ago.
Okay, but now it's being spun off into its own nonprofit, right?
Yeah, so that's the great thing about BME and how much we've been supported by the community, that it allowed us to transition into its own organization. And I mean, we still get, you know, the great support of Knight Foundation and many other foundations and local businesses, because they see the end result of these young brothers that's out here doing the work.
Yeah. So you were one of the winners last year.
Yes, I was one of the inaugural winners
Okay.
in 2011.
Okay.
And I won for a project that I did in Cody High School in Tri-County, which was Living Peace Digital and Literary Arts Project. And what really happened with BME was that it allowed me to do like my dream project. And the great thing about it is once you get connected to the network, great things start to happen. So after winning the grant, I went on to win a fellowship at MIT Media Lab.
Was that right?
Yeah, and now I'm actually given the opportunity to teach at the University of Michigan this January, and that's the effect of getting that type of support, because otherwise people wouldn't know about the work.
People
I was
wouldn't
doing
have
in the
known what you were
Exactly.
doing. Yeah.
Yeah.
And are there other examples of programs like that that you can think of that we've seen in Detroit?
Oh, yeah, it's great. So one of the winners is Clement Brown Jr., and he's actually gone from being a fashion designer to now he's creating his own school and makerspace for young men and women to be able to come and learn design and learn fashion and learn how to brand their own products. And that's like really the great thing about BME is just, it takes these brothers who have dreams, who have visions, and it amplifies their work in a way that allows them to fulfill those visions without having to stress about, you know, how they're gonna make ends meet.
Right, right. Quanna, I would imagine that a lot of the young men you're dealing with are not people that a lot of folks would think of as positive role models, right? They're probably people who get ridden down a lot and criticized, right?
Yes, sir. Well, basically, I mean, I'm gonna be honest. The media paints a picture of young black males in a negative fashion, And so we judge these young men based off of how they dress and how they look, and basically they just fitting into the environment. I had one young man in my class, he had a hat to the back, pants sagging. Come to find out, this guy was a highly recruited hockey player. Yeah, it was amazing. So, you know, we got to reach out to these young men, and we can't be scared of each other.
Right.
And just embrace them and let them know that they do have an opportunity and a chance to be successful.
Right, right. You said that you started in the Osborne neighborhood. Brightmoor is next.
Yeah, so I'm sorry, let me mention one of my community partners, which is the Matrix Center, who's actually donating space to us to run out of there.
Okay,
Yes.
and so when you moved to Brightmoor, well, first of all, I would imagine that the being selected for Be Me will help support you in Brightmoor, right?
Yes, sir. They awarded us $15,000 to run in both of those communities. So we're looking to make an impact. We got allies and community partners in both of those communities, and we're excited. I'm a part of a consortium with the Friends of the Court now, and so I'm getting support from them in regards to helping these young fathers file motions and take care of rearage issues. So I'm just excited about the progression.
Yeah, yeah. So Be Me is in Detroit, Philadelphia, and Baltimore. Does it look the same in all three cities?
Philly and Detroit has a very similar makeup in regards to size of the city and the brothers. And so Baltimore was added this year, so they're kind of like the new part of our family.
Yeah.
And I've gone out there, some amazing, great brothers doing some great things. So the goal is ultimately to create that brand to where we're all consistent in terms of how we look, and we're really getting there.
Right. Knight is, like I said, giving you a pretty good grant to go forward, but I would imagine you guys are still trying to leverage more resources for this, right?
Yeah, and part of it is about community building. You know, we really want people who are invested in the community, businesses, nonprofits, to really invest in the men that's part of the network. But also even within the network, I mean, we have brothers that come from all walks of life. Some brothers are unemployed and they just contribute to the community however they can. And then we have business owners. And so within the network, there are a lot of brothers who bring contributions that help. And like, for example, he's going to be working in Brightmoor. We have one of the inaugural winners who has a community center over in Brightmoor, great wealth of resources, a great mentor. And so brothers will be able to tap into those different assets within the network.
Right. When you think about black, you said something earlier that struck me, that seeing black men as an asset, that's such a great phrase, but it's such a sort of uncommon phrase. I mean, I don't think a lot of people see us that way. Right?
Yeah, and I think that's
or
really
not enough people.
Yeah, and that's really the sad part. And so what we're doing with the network is we're creating that paradigm shift. You know, I think about the community of Detroit. I grew up in the streets of Detroit, and the troublemakers were the minority, but they're amplified as if they're the majority. The majority of black men that I know in the community contribute in some way, whether it was something as simple as fixing a child's bike, cutting the grass where the city has failed, mentoring. My father, he's a great mentor in the community, talks to every young man and woman that he encounters, and that's the day-to-day reality of black men in America. And we contribute. I think we started the most businesses. We entered the military at higher rates than anybody else. And those are things that's not talked about.
That people are not really
recognizing,
focused
right.
on.
And so Be Me is recognizing that there are men in the community doing the work, and they come from all walks of life, and they look just like me and you.
Right, right. I'm curious, Quanna, what kinds of things do you hear from these young fathers when you're working with them about life in Detroit, life as a black man in Detroit? I mean, this is a pretty pivotal time in the city. I'm always curious, particularly with young men. What are they saying to you?
Well, to be honest, I just talked to the young men several weeks ago, and a lot of them are scared, like we are. I mean, in the community, with the heightened crime and things of that nature.
Sure.
Even though you might look at them and think they the one committing the crime because the way their appearance, but
Sure.
A lot of it comes from their home being broken, different things going on as it relates to their parenting. To their parents, and that's why I think pretty much investing into parents is is major.
That's the key.
Because when you think about it, young men, they go through a 6-week program or a 12-week program, but they still have to go home and be around their parents, which is their environment. So let's fix the parents and let them empower. Yes, sir.
Great to have you guys here. Good luck with the program.
Thank you, sir.
Thanks for joining us for this broadcast from our Midtown Detroit studios. We'd love to hear what you thought about today's program and get your idea for future shows. So connect with us on Facebook and on Twitter. We'll see you next time on American Black Journal.
Lindsay wants to know,
So I'm curious, what's DTE Energy doing to improve their customer service?
why don't we take a ride over there and let Rachel tell us? Hello.
Hello. Take a walk with me. Here at DC Energy, we're working very hard to improve our service, like answering every call under 1 minute and resolving the issue on the first call.
Wow, no passing the buck, huh?
Nope. And plus, we're adding over 100 customer service jobs right here in the state of Michigan.
I need to get a real job.
I'm going to send your application.
Thanks, Rachel. DTE Energy. Know your own power.
When I grow up,
I want to be an architectural engineer.
a registered nurse,
In the law enforcement,
a computer scientist,
a successful person.
Give Michigan's children the chance to aim high with quality early education.